Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
This is the Wheel of Time Spoilers podcast.
So we're doing another doubleheader today, shifting from Perrin to Matt. And I promised that we would not be complaining last week. I can't guarantee that I'm going to keep that promise.
I will probably not complain much about this. These chapters are aggressively Matt. I think Sanderson is doing better in these chapters. It's not perfect, but I do think he's making up a lot. My only problem I found with this one is it's almost like he's spending this first chapter saying, look, I know Matt. Look, I figured out Matt. Look, I figured out Matt. And like dropping all of these Matt references, that Matt personality types, to the point where it is a little overdone.
Yeah, it's like he recognized how badly he overshot in the last Matt appearance, and he's trying to reel it back in, but he's only like 60% of the way there, in my opinion. There's still a lot of that weird women are like goats Matt here. It's just fading.
Yeah.
So I won't be complaining as much, but it is still very like, this is not the Matt that I was hoping to see. But we do get some good Gholam stuff, which is fun. I do love a good Aes Sedai fighting Gholam situation, because it's like unstoppable force versus immovable object. Oh no.
Yeah, so this is the Seven Striped Lass, which, I mean, got to be a reference to the Aes Sedai and the White Tower, right? Like the owner.
It's the name of the inn.
Yeah, but it's a reference to.
Oh yeah,
the owner who wants to be an Aes Sedai, may or may not be an agent.
I'm convinced she's a wilder because there's no rats in her inn, and she really wants to be an Aes Sedai, and she calls herself the Seven Striped Lass. I'm just like, this is a wilder that figured out her gift. This is my headcanon. I really like her. I also noticed that Sanderson was like, women can be barkeepers too in this chapter, because both of the barkeeps, both of the bar owners that we see in this chapter are both women. Just like, I don't know how many there were in all of the books before this, but Sanderson's making sure to balance the average out here.
Yeah, not many, if any. And our symbol is the dice, because it's a Matt luck gem.
Satala Anon is one. Satala Anon does exist.
That's true. And aren't like all the women in Abu Dar the innkeepers?
Oh, right. That's the thing. Is this the thing in Abu Dar?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow.
So, and also, I would assume the where Varen and Codswain are from.
Farmatting. Yeah. Well, I mean, they run all the businesses,
yes.
Period.
Right.
So.
Right. Including the inns.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mom Jean's Nance in chat is also pointing out stripes can mean whipped. Like being whipped, like so many stripes, like giving them stripes. But 7 feels very Aes Sedai to me. So.
Mm-hmm. Because like if you replace Lass with Stole, it'd be the 7 Striped Stole.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I could see that. Someone's getting whipped.
It would make more sense if she hadn't said that she had never gone to Tarvalon.
Right.
If she didn't say that, then I'd be like, well, maybe she did go and she did get whipped and kicked out. But she says specifically that she's always wanted to go, so I figure she can't have been kicked out.
And for someone who, the reason why I'm like, oh, this is probably more likely White Tower related than whipping related is this person does want to go to the White Tower, right? Like there is that connection where she owns the bar, she named the bar, she wants to go to the White Tower. Ergo,
It's kind of surprising she hasn't been recruited or interacted with by an Aes Sedai at this point, either to become a novice or an Eyes and Ears. You'd think she would have been picked up by them at this point, but for whatever reason, no.
And also they're in Camelin, where Aes Sedai are generally viewed favorably, so you can, assume that the name of the inn's not a problem.
You're right, less dramatic than if she was in Tyr, this would be an incredibly aggressive title.
Exactly. All right, I'll read this in. Matt stood on a worn stool, his arms leaning against a dark wooden bar counter. The air smelled good, of ale, smoke, and of the washcloth that had recently wiped the counter. He liked that. There was something calming about a good, rowdy tavern that was also kept clean. Well, as clean as was reasonable anyway. No one liked a tavern that was too clean. That made a place feel new, like a coat that had never been worn or a pipe that had never been smoked. Matt flipped the folded letter between two fingers of his right hand. That letter, on thick paper, was sealed with a glob of blood-red wax. He had been carrying it only a short time, but it was already a source of as much aggravation to him as any woman. Well, maybe not an Aes Sedai, but most any other woman. That was saying a lot. He stopped spinning the letter and taped it on the counter. Burn Baron for doing this to him. She held him by an oath like a fish caught on a hook. I think I can stop there. There's a little more Matt going on, but there's enough in there I wanted to talk about that I think it's worth stopping.
I mean, that is the scene. Matt in bar, anxious about letter.
Right. I like the line, made a place feel like a new coat that had never been worn or a pipe that had never been smoked, because especially in reference to the show, because I agree that I think some of those costumes needed a little more aging before they were worn on set. They felt a little too much like a pipe that had never been smoked in some situations. As much as I love the costume, I'd like to see the shit beat out of them before people put them on.
This is something I have an issue with a lot of TV, like way beyond Wheel of Time. And
it's not just Wheel of Time. It's the era.
Because I totally bought I'm fine with the Aes Sedai have magic, so their clothes are extra clean, but the leather needs to look worn. Right. The horse equipment needs to look like it's been on the horse more than once. Like all of those little tiny bits, which the older of TV you look at, the more well-aged the stuff is. I mean, look at freaking Lord of the Rings. They were literally sleeping in their costumes for days to the costume department's angst, right? Like those clothes were worn. And now I saw a video briefly online talking about the differences between old Snow White and new Snow White, because that new Snow White movie just came out and it was like specifically comparing like the Snow White dresses and just being like, why is it that the designs are getting simpler and dumber and easier? And it's in every little bit of set, every bit of Foley, every bit of prop. You can just see the closer you get to present day, the less money and the less time and the less wear and the less attention to detail is being applied. And it's, as Matt says, it doesn't feel good.
Cost savings and shitification.
Yeah. No, you want the bar to feel a little grimy, and it won't be grimy unless you like have the crew set up and smoke indoors in the set for a few days before you start filming.
No, and aging clothes is a cost. Because you either have to A, wear them, which is not what they do, or B, go in and paint on the dirt, literally beat the shit out of the costumes before you put them on people. And you have to do it in a way that's consistent. So when you have multiple versions of that costume, and like all that requires a lot of money and effort and care. And it's just easier to be like, well, we like them clean looking, let's skip that.
Or not even that they like them clean looking, but the audiences won't boycott our product even if it's shitty. Like people won't care enough to make the ROI worth it. Like it all comes down to fucking ROI.
This also, interesting is also, I think, a good reference to who was that innkeeper? I think it was an informant and his wife was a merchant and he owned the inn, not to make money, but because it was...
It's in Tanchico,
Quillen, yes.
The Garden of Silver Breezes?
Something like that. I think this almost feels like a reference to that because that was the inn that was too clean, right? That was no one wanted to actually enjoy it because it was so clean and spotless that everyone felt uncomfortable. And then I felt that way in people's houses too, where you walk in and you're like, am I allowed to sit on your couch? Is that like a thing that you can do? Because the rest of your house is so clean and spotless. I'm afraid that I'm going to smudge something or crinkle something that's not supposed to be smudged or crinkled, and then you're gonna have to deal with it in the moment because your house is a museum.
Right, yeah. That is a good contrast. I like that callback. as opposed to this other one. This one is actually comfortably dirty.
And the mention of the letter with the blood red wax. Remember we talked about the fact that Varen's using the blood red wax now when she was using, I believe, yellow wax earlier.
Yeah, this means that it's one of her only open if I haven't come back because I'm dead letters. She handed those letters out going, I hope I see this letter again. I hope that I get to be the one to take this wax back, but I probably won't. Yeah, and this is the letter that will ultimately reveal that Camelin is going to be attacked from the inside through the Waygate.
Mm-hmm. And again, this is also back in time for, right? We are significantly earlier in the timeline. We're before Veins of Gold. Elida is still the Amerlin. Like, there's a couple of hints like that.
The reunification rumor hits at the end of this section, or at the end of these chapters today.
Okay.
So Elida's not still Amerlin. I was actually going to ask you about where we are in the timeline because, the next time we see Perrin, we're jumping way, way back.
Right.
And so I was really confused about where Matt sits on the continuum from present day back to Perrin.
Okay, so in the next chapter, I guess I did look ahead, so not the next chapter, but the chapter after that, with Elaine, she gets a missive from Elida's emissaries. So
okay.
I was thinking we're jumping around so much. I really do think we're still fairly early on. I think the Matt, Perrin, Elaine timeline is much earlier right now than the Rand, Nynaeve, Lan, Egwene timeline. Because we spent so much time with those characters in the last book, right? This is really he split these characters up, and we got we got Rand and Egwene in the last book, and we're getting there was a little Elaine in that too, but Elaine, Perrin, and Matt are catching up in this book.
Yeah, but the Aes Sedai leave to go rejoin the Unified Tower at the end of this section with Matt. So it's not that far back.
Right. So Matt's maybe a little bit more. Yeah, Matt's maybe a little more ahead.
It's somewhere in the middle, right? Because the reunification happens like 2 weeks before Veins of Gold. Like, those are not the same day at all. Like, there's actually a significant chunk of breathing room between those two events. So I can see why Sanderson gave up on trying to keep this perfectly precise.
Yeah.
Oh, and correction from chat. It's Bendar Ebon that inn is in, not Tanchico. Thank you.
But I mean, like, think about what Matt has to do before Moraine shows up to the Fields of Marilor, which is like next week for Rand and Egwene in their timeline. Aren't they like...
Yeah, how long is that between Veins of Gold and the Fields of Marilor? Is that...
Not long, because he came down in the beginning of this book and like said, all right, let's go, But Matt has to meet with Elaine, build...
They go through the whole prototype process.
Do the whole prototype process with the dragons, build them, train his people on them, go rescue Moraine, and then bring Moraine back.
I'm pretty sure he leaves the training to Talmanes. I'm pretty sure he just stays through the prototyping and then hands it off to Talmanes and the Dragoneers. But yeah.
All that has to happen in the timeline before the Fields of Marilor.
I mean, it's got to be like 3 of our weeks, i.e. 2 of Randland weeks, right? 20 days. It can't be that many more, but it can't be that many less.
Right.
I mean, in fact, the Tower of Genji is like a long weekend. The actual Tower of Genji doesn't take that long.
That's true. Do they just gateway in, right? And then gateway
exactly.
back out. So yeah,
exactly.
It's just like a single night or 2 nights.
They don't have to travel to the tower.
Right.
That is just an overnight flight. Yeah, I totally see why Sanderson would have given up. Like, this is not worth it. But it's fun.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, this definitely feels a little out of Matt's timeline, especially feels a little out of sync right now with the other two. Like, he's somewhere in between.
Yeah, I think it's just straight up desynchronized.
Yeah,
he's literally just floating around wherever the headcanon needs him to be.
And what do you think of that nickname, Master Crimson, that he picks up?
Well, it goes well with being the leader of the Band of the Red Hand and also focusing on a letter with red wax and also being generally in the middle of blood, death, and mayhem. It works. I think it makes a lot of sense. It's simple.
I wish it was just, I don't know, not Master. I wish he'd said like, Bran Crimson or something like that. The Master Crimson to me is like, oh, is he going to like be Zorro now? Like, what's...
I would have preferred, something like, Frodo Baggins. That would have been fun.
Yeah, sure. And then there is this, I think you and I disagree on this, but there's this thread that goes through this chapter where he's smiling at girls and then telling himself, oh, I can't do that anymore. I'm a married girl. I'm a married man. I'm just smiling at these girls for Nilesian, for Tom, for, so-and-so, right? Like, I'm not actually looking at them. when it's clearly he's just still looking and smiling at girls.
I don't disagree with that at all. I don't disagree with that at all. I completely agree.
I think we disagree on how much we like that.
Oh, yeah. If the Women Are Like Goats chapter hadn't happened, I might have just thought it was a fun little burst of extra mattiness, but it feels too much like that women are goats thing, and so it just has a bad taste. But it could be cute, I guess, maybe. It gets kind of weird near the end.
For me, it's like, oh, he's having trouble breaking habits, right? He has this habit of smiling and looking at girls, and now that he's married, he knows he's not supposed to do that, but he still has the bad habit. And so in his head, he's saying, oh, well, I'm only doing it for my mates. I'm only looking for my mates just to get them girls. And I like that level of doing things without really thinking about it. It's almost, I'd rather he was not noticing and thinking, oh, I should be noticing them. I wonder why I'm not, rather than the other way around, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's something off about it. And you're right. If it was like that, I would find it much more endearing. If he was like, wow, she has a nice ass, and yet
and I hadn't noticed
really think about it.
She's been standing right next to me at face level, and I hadn't noticed for minutes, or like that level of like, all I'm doing is thinking about Tuon instead of these other women, and that's really weirding me out because I'm so used to checking out these women. Like, there's a way to do that would have felt a little more like, oh yeah, he's truly in love with women. The best we get is him being like, well, I'm not really into big boobs anymore. I like women with a small chest, and I like women with big,
Yeah, there's a piece of it with that. He's like, I'm discovering that I don't like hair on women anymore.
Right. Yeah, I really like bald women with small chest. And meanwhile, every other girl he's been with has been described as long, brown, beautiful hair and big boobs, right?
Yeah. So there's a piece of that. And it is all much more realistic than if he was just suddenly like ice cold towards women and never thought about it again. Like, that would be really weird.
Right,
so,
right.
I don't hate it as much as the Women Are Like Goats rant by a long shot.
And for stuff like that, he's always saying it to other people. And that's where I'm like, how much does he believe and how much is he just spouting off?
Yeah. And there's a certain like charming wingman energy of like, hey, Tamanes, you know how you're always worried? You should kiss a girl. Like, there's a certain like fun wingman party boy energy, which I don't hate to see.
We get his dilemma about why he's not opening the letter, right? That if he opens it, he has to do what's inside of it. And he sees that as a huge imposition. And he'd rather deal with the devil that he knows, which is he has to stay in Camelin for a while, than deal with the devil he doesn't know, which is open it and have to do some crazy Aes Sedai task that he doesn't understand.
Meanwhile, the pattern is using this hot, smart chick playing with the letter and asking him about it to be like, will you please open it? Like, you can just feel the pattern being like, come on, girl, just open the letter. Just open it. Just open it. She's trying to make him open it. Pattern's trying to make her open it. Like, the way that Camelin almost gets saved in this moment, except that she decides to put the letter back down on the bar instead of opening it. It's just, we're so close. It's kind of fun.
No, and I like her as a character. This whole like admiring Aes Sedai, maybe having some powers of her own, maybe being an informant for the Aes Sedai, right? Like, we know they've had them everywhere, and she's made her allegiance pretty wide open. It's hard to believe no one would contact her, especially in Camelin.
Maybe that's why she doesn't have rats. Maybe that's the like, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. You'll have a rat-free inn, and you'll send me the best gossip.
That would be my assumption, is that she's a informant, and then she has like Aes Sedai visit and like cast wards to keep the rats out.
I prefer my headcanon, but it does require more of a stretch of the imagination.
The is a wilder.
Is a wilder, yeah. That's a bigger stretch, but I like it better. Because
I feel like as a wilder, she would have been discovered, and they would have talked to her and been like, no, we don't take wilders.
Right, and if she's an informant, then they would have recruited her if she could be recruited. Mm-hmm. So, an informer makes the most sense. An informer with a kick-ass anti-pest weave definitely is the simplest explanation. But I'm going to continue to choose to believe that she's just a very clever wilder. So yeah, he continues to worry about the letter and then leaves the bar to wander through the streets and find a better game of dice.
There's a good line where she's like, I want you to introduce me to this Aes Sedai. And he's like, I'll give you my word. And she's like, can I trust you? He's like, we just had a whole conversation about how if you open the fucking letter, like, that was the entire point of the previous conversation. Did you not realize that I'm keeping my word to this woman, even though I don't want to, and it's really inconvenient for me?
Again, the pattern is just begging him to break and open the damn letter through any means necessary.
Something else I didn't like is when you look at someone at a bar and he goes, oh, he's got 14 empty mugs. He must have had 14 beers. Does no one bust the tables? No kitchen has 14 extra mugs sitting around. They can just leave them sitting on the table unwashed. Mugs get picked up and reused in a given night. No one leaves 14 mugs sitting at a table.
Like, I got the impression it was like a drinking contest thing, so it's just one after the other. But even so, a busser would have come by. By the time you get to you're about your 8th beer, enough time would have passed just because it takes that long to swallow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. That does not feel like how restaurants work.
And this is a nice restaurant too, right? This isn't like the place he goes to later where it's all dirty and shit. This is the clean place.
Yeah, like they might have 14 spare glasses, but that's just because sometimes you break a lot in a row and you need to have spares. Like I agree. It's a little odd.
That to me is an author writing about a bar when he never goes into bars.
That's probably about right. Yeah.
Matt's wearing a little bit of lace.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a tiny little bit. It's classy.
He's not wearing his hat. He's grown out a beard. He's a little scruffy looking. He's trying to hide it, basically taking off his glasses and pretending he's, not Superman anymore.
Right. Exactly.
He had already died once. He was fairly certain. You've died at least twice, buddy.
I know, right? And the inn he goes to has a great name also, the Dead Man's Breath. Like, I'm sorry, but that is a slapping bar name.
Mm-hmm.
That is gnarly. That is a grimy dive bar.
You know what it's going to smell like when you walk in.
Uh-huh. I also liked the line where he talks about various bubbles of evil and paving stones attacking people. And if you can't trust the rocks under your feet, then what can you trust?
Yeah.
This is part of why I find earthquakes so fascinating, is because that is one of the most existentially distressing things that can happen, is terra firma is no longer firma. Like, one of the scariest, most confusing things the human brain can experience is the ground moving.
Well, I think it's also a reference to the guy getting sucked into the ground, remember? And only his hat's left.
Well,
yeah.
also that, which Matt literally saw. And also, like, the rocks are the only thing you can trust once all the metal melts at the beginning of the next book.
That's true. Earth.
Yeah.
He leaves his walking stick by the door, and that's where it stays for the rest of the chapter. He never picks it back up on his way out. Not sure what the point of the walking stick was. Not sure why he had it. Not sure. I mean, it was maybe a weapon. He grabs the Ashendari later with the golem, so maybe like he had him leave it behind so he wouldn't have the stick and the Ashendari.
Probably.
I get the feeling that was a writing thing, that he had him with the Ashendari, and someone was like, "Yeah, he can't carry the Ashendari in Camelin." So he wrote in like, "Oh, he left it. He made it a walking stick, and then he left it behind, and then he grabs it at just the right moment when he attacks the golem."
Yeah, I was also wondering about the walking stick through line. I'm like, this serves no purpose whatsoever. Why is this here? But no, an artifact of a writing mistake makes a lot of sense.
An artifact of the Ashendari not being something you can carry around everywhere.
It's a very distinctive weapon. It is not an incognito weapon.
So they go into Dead Man's Breath, which again, like, the description of a dive bar to me is like, the wooden bar had nails whose heads jutted out a fingernail or so high and jabbed you in the arm. No, police will pound that down. Like,
no, the wood should be so old and dry that it's splintery and stabs you in the elbow. That would be far more realistic.
Right.
Yeah, this very much is written like a man who's never been in a bar.
Yeah. Much less a dive bar.
Certainly not a dive bar. Yeah. He's been to restaurants with bars, but he's never been to a grimy dive bar.
Right. And he doesn't know what makes a place grimy in a dive bar. I'll talk about his lace. Best to have Lopin pull it off his cuffs. Yeah, Lopin's not going to be doing shit.
Oh, R.I.P. Lopin. He's probably dying more or less right now.
Yeah.
Oh. So he rolls up to a dice game. And again, showing that Sanderson is very woke and very progressive. There's a woman dicing, which Matt thinks is unusual. And ooh.
So I couldn't find any evidence for this, but I'm convinced Claire and the guy who's killed, Jowdry, were inserts of fans, right? Because first of all, Claire's a very common name, and she's described as golden hair, and I get the feeling that was an insert, and Jowdry is like her husband who got killed in a horrific way. Because Sanderson put in a lot of characters of people who helped him out, but yet my Googling gave me nothing. So I'm convinced that these are real people that Sanderson stuck in, because this is the only reference to them. One of them dies horribly. There's a description of their hair. One of the names is very common American English name. And Jowdry is probably like Jeffrey or something like that, just changed, right? And so I'm 100% convinced they're people like beta readers, because I know from his own word, a lot of the one-off characters are based on real people who helped him with the production. That was his way of thanking the people who were helping him with these books.
And is there a comprehensive list somewhere, or is it just
not that
vibes?
I found. That's worth looking into. If anyone has that list anywhere, I'd love to see it. I know individuals who are in there and have said, "Oh, this character is based on me," and I know that he said he has done that, and I just don't have a complete list.
No, that feels right.
And he likes to kill off the people he includes as well.
Yeah, I like it. Headcanon accepted. Or heart cannon? I don't know what kind of canon that is, but I like it.
So you've got Claire and Chaser who are playing the card game. And again, I don't know about Chaser, might be one of the group, who knows. All three one-off characters, they're only in this chapter.
Yeah. Well, Jowdry isn't even here. He's just a dead corpse in the conversation.
Right. Mentioned in this chapter, right.
But yeah, the point of that whole thing being that Matt gets news that the gholam is back in town, which is really important for plot.
Oh, and I did like this. Matt did not smile at girls that way anime. Besides, she did not respond to any of his smiles anyway. Which is saying, like, yeah, obviously you did like smile. Proving yourself wrong within your own thought of like, I don't smile like that. And she didn't respond to him anyway.
Oh, well, Chaser is definitively a fan insert.
Okay. So I believe all three of them would be then.
We've got a Watt fandom article. So yeah, that this group, all of these names in this conversation, the three people and the dead guy are all, yeah, that totally makes sense.
The three people, including the dead guy, I think.
Oh, doesn't he sit down at a table with three people? Whatever, it doesn't matter. Yeah, a game being played by three men and a woman.
Oh, okay.
So that's technically four people, not including the dead man.
We only get Chaser and her name. We don't get the other two names.
Ah, yes. So the named characters of this scene, all of them, we are assuming, based on the fact that one is, and the vibes are right.
And the fact that I called it without knowing that one is.
No, that just feels, and this is a really important plot turn, right? Bringing the Gholam back into the story is important. So it would make sense to throw some people's names in there at this important juncture. And then Matt, in response to this information, doesn't really look at the dice as he throws them. So it's the most random it could possibly be. And the dice do the most random thing possible, which is all three land on their corners, right as the dice kick off in his head. It's just this moment of like the Taviran lever just gets pushed really, really hard. Someone bumps it with their elbow.
Right. And you get that with the odds being weird because all the dice land on their corners.
Right. Which, like, that is so random. They shouldn't have the correct amount of force to stay on their corner.
Well, it's an unstable local minimum, right? Like you have this minimum where technically a dice can bounce on its corner, but any perturbation, any movement, any change is going to cause it to seek a different lowest energy state, aka flat on the ground. Like it's just and all three of them doing it once, so like it's possible, but the odds are basically zero, right? But that's Matt's specialty.
Well, but especially when you're tossing dice without even looking at them, that's not how they're gonna land. That's a trick shot. You know, you can learn to throw like that, but that's not something that's gonna happen randomly unless you're Matt. And the pattern is starting to break apart and shit is getting really intense. So yeah, Matt grabs his money and skedaddles before he has to answer any more awkward questions about these fan inserts being murdered in terrible ways.
Yeah, the only line Claire has is, "What do you know about Jowdry?" Claire demanded. She was reaching for her waist. Matt would have bet gold against copper, she had a knife there. Nothing, and he leaves. And that's like the last we hear, yeah.
Yep. So yeah, he scoots out of there looking to pick up Tom.
Well, and especially because someone's looking at a paper and, talking to the innkeeper. Yeah. So there's someone who's looking for, those images of him that Varen distributed probably aren't the only ones that are being produced. Someone else is looking for him.
Yeah, because the images exist. They're easy to copy now that there's many copies, right? Now anyone who wants him can use that.
I also assume Grendel is now trying to chase him down.
I was going to ask about the Gholam saying the one who controls me now wants you more than ever. Is that Grendel or is that someone else?
So I think it's Moradin, but remember he said I would give you tools.
Right, which I thought was the Dream Spike and Slayer. Because he says, I'll give you the man with two souls, which is empirically not the Gholam.
Right. So I think that Grendel is focused on Perrin. right? That's who she's trying to take down.
Yeah.
But I think that Moradin is able to give orders to the golem. Because I think it was Samuel's, right? But once Samuel disappeared / died, I think it reverted to Moradin.
Yeah. So why is Moradin turning up the heat on finding Matt? Because the golem says your desirability as a target has gone up. Why is Moradin doing that?
Because he can't kill Rand, because he's linked to him. Ever since he's realized that crossing the streams has created a link between him and Rand. Remember he says to Semrog, or he says, like, I told you not to hurt him. And he, like, flexes his hand because his hand's all fucked up. So at some point before then, he realizes the connection between them. And if Rand is killed, he will be killed as well.
So he's cranking up the heat on the other two boys in the effort to try to do the cut one leg of the tripod.
Exactly.
They all fall down thing.
Exactly. Right. He's been concentrating on taking out Rand this whole time. And now he's like, fuck, I can't do that. Let me go ahead and concentrate on the other two.
Right. Which also, in fairness, as you approach the final battle, the guy gathering the army and the guy who is many, many generals compiled into one are both big military assets that would be worth taking out.
Right, right. No, and Perrin's gathering all the assets of that, like, whole section of Randland, right? But in a lot of ways, Matt is creating the technological basis for the army that's going to make it a more advanced, more modern army against...
It's going to make a force equalizer against magic.
Right. No, I would have loved... I do think the one thing that you could have done is increase the speed at which Matt and Perrin brought their relative forces and technology back to Rand and have Rand sort of unify them and have, like, Matt's cannons and maybe even guns be given to all of, like, the White Cloaks might be a more effective force if you give them guns. Can you imagine, like, giving your cop guns, right?
I mean, but the White Cloaks are a cavalry force and you need horses to move cannons. Like, it totally makes sense.
Right. So I would have liked to see more of that cross-pollination between, like, the forces that Perrin and Matt brought together, and, like, Matt being like, oh man, I've got these cool technologies, I just don't have the people, and Perrin being like, I brought Malden and Gillidan and the Two Rivers and all of these people that are just going to come streaming out of gateways for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours.
Yeah, that would have been great. But alas, we will be back with Matt. He thinks about, as he's headed towards picking up Tom, he thinks about how his letter to Elaine hasn't gotten through yet. And at the end of these two chapters, he talks about how he's going to have to send a stronger, more colorful
ridiculous
letter to get her attention. Because we know that Nori has just shuffled his email off as spam, right? Because he's just another mercenary captain. And Elaine has not had the chance to see his letter, much less reject it.
Oh, something else about the golem. It seemed impossible it could have gotten here this quickly. What do you think about that? Waypoints?
I think it just doesn't have to eat or rest. It can just run all night. I don't think it operates according to normal human speeds. Plus, it could have, like, grabbed a horse or a ride on a cart. Like, I just think that Matt underestimates how fast it can move in the more traditional sense. I don't think it has magic.
I don't think it has magic, but I think according with the new orders, it was also relocated. And you can't go through...
How?
Well, it can go through gateways. No,
it can't. It's dark. It's Shadowspawn. Shadowspawn can't go through gateways.
How did they kill it again?
Oh, okay, fair enough. I can't go through gateways. All right. Okay, gatewayed forward. That would work. That would definitely...
This is the only Shadowspawn that can go through gateways, as far as we know.
Why does it get an exception?
Because otherwise it'd be too easy to kill. Or he didn't think of it when he was doing the... I mean, like, that is, I think, one of the many ways to kill a golem. You know, always look at the article, 50 ways to kill a golem. Always a fun one. But yeah, no, it seems like as Shadowspawn, my guess is it's not strictly Shadowspawn, that it is made in a way that the Green Men were made. It's an artificial construct.
Oh, not inherently evil. More like made of magic.
Yeah. And in a lot of ways, like, the golem is a vampire, right? The golem drinks blood, survives, and is sort of something other than Shadowspawn. I don't know. I'm not sure. They seem to be, and also they have a very unique relationship with Saidin and Saidar.
Yeah, I was thinking about how it interacts with the medallion and how that's the only thing that can hurt it. And the medallion is so unique in its ability to just absorb and ignore magic that somehow there's something going on there with their essence of being. And also it's not made of normal flesh, right? It looks like flesh, but it does not interact like flesh. So
My best guess is somehow gateways are an effect of the one power, right? It's not in the same way that throwing something, you're imparting magic momentum onto it, but once it has the mass has the momentum, it can hit you, right? Gateways, yes, it's a magic gateway, but once the hole is open, you're just stepping from normal air to normal air. Why does that kill Trollocs and Fades and everything else? I don't know.
Maybe it's because their souls are twisted and you have to have like a intact soul in order to like transpose yourself across space. Otherwise there's a snag somehow.
And maybe the golem is so artificial it doesn't even have a soul.
Exactly. It's a construct, like you said. I mean, not that Someshta didn't have a soul, because obviously Someshta was a very good tree boy, but I don't know. There's some metaphysics here that I think maybe even the great world building Sanderson didn't fully think out for us.
Because I do kind of believe that a gateway should kill a golem as shadow spawn.
Yeah, I would like to hear a scenario in which a golem is not shadow spawn. What about its creation makes it distinct? Because I could believe that there's some other reason for having made golem that was not inherently evil. The way that like Trollocs are evil, right? The entire inspiration behind them is to be evil. Is there a golem that wasn't?
But Agenor made the golem, right? Just like he made all the other shadow spawn. My only assumption is that he based them much more on the Ogier than the soul twisting.
But like Ogier have souls, right? They're aliens, but so I guess the question is just, did the Nim have souls as constructs?
Mm-hmm. So, okay, here's the thought that maybe he used the true power in creating all the other shadow spawn, but because he had a template, he was able to use the one power to create the golems. The Angreal that cancel the one power are created with the one power.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
And the golem is essentially one of those constructs brought to life. And so maybe he's like, oh, if I bring in this, I see these Angreal that can cancel out the one power. If I use that weave plus the creation of the Someshta and bring those together, and instead of giving it a soul, it doesn't have a soul. It just uses the blood, aka the souls of its victims. Maybe that's a way to create something that's like not shadow spawn, but just a really crappy version of a Someshta.
Well, and we know that they only ever made 6 because they were too dangerous. It's definitely not tech that was widely adopted. So, yeah, sure, why not?
Whereas all the other shadow spawns seem to be, shall we call them monster generators, right? They seem to be able to just kind of pump them out based, are they breeding technically? But like they're coming from somewhere.
Right, whereas the golem were definitely like constructed in a lab individually. Each one was prototype put together on a stand. Yeah.
Where it feels like all the other shadow spawn can breed.
Yeah, they're self-replicating. They're animals.
Yeah, whereas the golems are definitely not. So, to me, I think it makes sense to say the golems are something else. There's something else that Agenor created, and yeah, they're in the shadow spawn because they're controlled by the shadow and they're evil, but they don't qualify as the spawn of the shadow who had the corrupted souls mixed together.
That makes sense because every other shadow spawn has, a heart and a brain and other organs that can be damaged and destroyed, whereas the golem is just pure something all the way through. It's much more like technology than like an animal.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating.
So as Matt's sitting there playing, heard about the golem, he's basically planning, how am I going to kill this, right? It's time to stop and face the golem.
Yeah, he's like listing all the people that have died and kind of psyching himself up, being like, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to deal with you. I am not going to keep running from you. And then he doubles down on that later when he has more dead people to be sad about. But like, this is the beginning of him starting to turn around and be ready to fight.
And really, he encounters it in the next chapter. There's a fight. But the time after that, he kills it.
Yeah, this upcoming time, he doesn't ask for it. When he kills it, that was a fight he specifically went out looking for. I love the cat and mouse of him taking the golem down. I actually really like that, even though it's so Sanderson, but I'm here for it.
And unlike with Slayer, where it's just teased over and over and over again, it's like once he sets out to kill it, he kills it.
Yeah, Matt does not fuck around. Once he puts his mind to killing someone, that someone is dead.
Mm-hmm. It's funny because the description of Perrin is almost what Matt's like, right? Someone, he ponders everything and is very careful before he does things in a lot of ways. Yeah, he gambles in the moment when he needs to because he understands odds, but only because he's thought about every single scenario. Like the number of times we've seen Matt stay up at night planning out every single scenario in his head over and over and over again before the battle. Like he does that. Whereas Perrin doesn't really plan anything. He responds very instinctively to things.
But he thinks about everything he says really thoroughly. Whereas Matt just spouts off whatever is top of mind. Yeah, there's different kinds of impulsiveness.
There's always inns near city gates. Not the nicest ones, but always the most profitable ones. I feel the same way about airports, right? There's always
hotels.
Hotels around airports, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they're no good, but they're close and they're cheap.
And in a lot of ways, airports are the modern city gate, right? You have inspections, you stand in lines, you have guards. Like that is, we don't have borders, but we certainly have high security at our gates, AKA, which you fly into a gate, right? Like,
yeah, there's just no equivalent at the road. There's no like equivalent structure at the road equivalency, like between, like at cities, obviously between nations there are, but like at a city, you don't get stopped at the city gate.
But I like the idea that like planes are our modern. That's how we get our cities, is people coming from. Now cars are obviously a big open way, but in some ways you can't really fly into this country without going through an airport.
Well, that's the difference between a country and a city. Our country is a continent wide, and a city is, especially in this world, only a few square miles. In our world, they can be many more square miles, but in a fantasy world, they're going to be like 10 square miles or whatever. You
also have more city states, right? You have these places that, yes, it's a part of a country, but in and of itself, it kind of exists as a state.
Yeah, but we don't have walled cities anymore, and that's when a gate really is a thing that's an option. But once you get air power, walled cities don't really make sense anymore, and then you're back to airports are now the gate.
So he goes to hang out with Tom, and he goes to the Two Apples, which is one red and one eaten down to the core, which is red and white, the Andorran colors.
It's cute. There's a lot of good bar iconography going on in this chapter. And of course, Tom is going to a patriotic inn.
Yeah, of course. We get a reference like, Matt had seen tons of people play, and Tom was better than on any of them, right? This court bard who came to the Two Rivers, who, like, in the beginning, you're like, oh, he's just a gleeman like any other. And it's like, no. He's special. His performances are way better than average. Always have been.
Yeah, like this is actually, like, I don't know, David Bowie, right? This is not just another musician.
It's not a David Bowie cover band.
Yeah, exactly. This is actual David Bowie.
So he's playing a sad song, and, who's Tom sorrowing for? I mean, Moraine.
Either that or Owen, but I think Moraine. Because he doesn't know if he'll ever see her again. He knows he's going to try, but he doesn't know if he's going to succeed, so.
The only other person was like, maybe it's a Deanna reference.
Oh, yeah.
That, like, as he's moving on to go rescue this new girl, he's leaving behind the one he mourned for all this time. But
right, the one that could have been, the one that was snuffed out too soon. Yeah, he loved her as an apprentice and as a woman, so he could definitely be mourning for, like, I could have had an apprentice.
But
Moraine is more top of mind, given that the next thing he says is, can we go to the tower? Can we go to the tower? Can we go to the tower? Are we going to the tower yet?
So, yes, Moraine is my conclusion as well. There's a bunch of people here because Caemlyn's, you're not under the control of the dragon or the Seanchan, technically. Because remember, Elaine pulled down the dragon banners, and then so they're independent in that way. So, which is why she's got a lot of people flocking there, and the food isn't going bad because she is on the dragon side. The dragon does support her. His influence is keeping the food from going too bad.
Yeah, as fast. They have some funny physical comedy where Matt tries to collect his money so they can go soon, and Tom throws a knife at him and then goes, oops, sorry, I didn't see it was you. And then Matt goes, you damaged my coat. And Tom's like, you're really continuing with this you're not a noble bullshit? Really? Right now?
Only nobles complain about their coats.
The stitching is going to show? What farmer cares if the stitching is going to show?
I'm no noble. You married one. That literally makes you a noble. You're Prince of the Ravens. Too bad. And he even thinks at one point, like, well, I guess there's no avoiding nobles for me. I married a noble
But he won't
woman.
admit it out loud.
No,
He'll
of course
only
not.
admit it in his head.
Just because he's has to deal with them doesn't mean he is one.
Yeah. So yeah, they walk back to the camp talking about all the things Gholam and Genji related.
And they don't bring their horses into the city because horses are meat.
Horses are expensive and edible.
It's like you don't bring your car to the bad part of the neighborhood. You take the bus. Because if you know you have to leave it unlocked there, it's probably going to be broken into.
Even if you leave it locked.
I love Portland, but the property crime on cars is pretty bad.
You didn't need that catalytic converter.
or that unbroken side window.
Why would you need an unbroken side window?
Yeah, I've learned don't leave change in your passenger seat or anywhere exposed, because that's an instant broken window.
That sucks.
Otherwise, I love Portland, but for a while, the property crime was really bad.
I like how Matt can remember Camelin over not all of his memories, but over many of his memories. He's like looking at Camelin and being like, oh yeah, I assaulted it that one time and I tried to attack it that other time. And man, that's a tough city to bust into. Like, I like the seaming together of all of his memories, but also just the fact that Camelin's been around for a really long time. It has seen some shit.
They get confirmation of where the Tower of Genji is. So yeah, a lot of conversation about the Tower of Genji and how we're going to go do it. A little bit of that, like, can you believe we left here to go hunting after those girls in Tanchico and everything that's happened since then?
And then the Varen part. Part where Tom's like, I don't trust Varen. There's something off about her. And Matt says, I'm a pretty good judge of character, and I like Varen. I think she's all right.
Mm-hmm. She's not a dark friend in disguise or anything. Okay, Matt.
Well, the funny thing is that Matt's right. She is a good one.
Well, but so is Tom.
Triple agent thing.
Tom knows something
That's
squirrely.
What's funny to me about it is that Tom knows she's a dark friend. You know, he's intuiting it. And then Matt knows that she's actually a double agent working for our guys really under it all. Like, and obviously she's done bad things like in the course of her, career doing that. But I just love how they both are picking up on different pieces of her subterfuge.
Yes.
They're both good at reading her. They just come away with different impressions.
Yes, something is off, and yes, she is a good person.
Yeah, both things are true, actually.
Both things are true, yeah.
But I'm sure that Tom is picking up on the many, many murders and war crimes that she has done over the past 70 years, whereas Matt's picking up on her, end goal. Ironic, given that he has one of her end goal letters in his hand and refuses to open it.
Right. Just do it. There's a reference to the thugs who jumped him. Those were definitely dark friends, right? Even though, again, he's like, oh, thugs, just honest, good pickpockets, like all the times in Camelin, all the times he's been chased by dark friends. Every time he's like, oh, they're after my purse. It's always dark friends, Matt. It's always dark friends.
I figure the reason that it is easy to brush off as a regular robbery is because they were very low-level dark friends who had absolutely no chance and were more or less self-initiating. Like, yeah, man, we can get him. Like, you are the lowest level thug in your entire city mafia. You're not taking this guy down. He's not even going to realize you're bad guys. Like, that's how incompetent you are. But yeah, I cannot believe he's ever been attacked by a regular, honest-to-God criminal. No, they're always dark friends.
And then he gets word that as he gets back to the camp that the Three Aes Sedai have come back.
I'm assuming that's because while they were in the city, they got wind of the fact that the tower has reunified, because that's the next thing they come up to him and say is, we've heard the tower's been reunified, so we got to bounce. So I'm assuming that's why they came back early from their excursion.
100%. And those Three Aes Sedai are Teslin, Jolene, and Edicina?
Yeah. The red, the green, and the shrinking yellow, I think.
Yes, Edicina is yellow.
So yeah, Matt's upset that they're back in camp, but fortunately they'll be gone as of tomorrow morning, basically. So.
And of course he has horses for them. He goes through that whole thing where he's like, oh, horses are too expensive. And then when he's ready to get rid of them, here are your horses.
I recounted.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And I like this. I want to read this paragraph about memories because he says more and more he had simply accepted those memories as his own. He had not asked for them, no matter what those bloody foxes claimed, but he had paid for them with the scar on his neck. They had been useful on more than one occasion. And the idea that they're just part of him in a way that he doesn't have to think about, right? I always thought that was a really good contrast to Rand, who has these memories in his head, but also has a personality to go along with them. And how much that is, the personality is the insanity. The memories are real, but this personality that comes along with them, well, Matt doesn't have that, and he's not insane.
Right. If Matt had generals screaming at him what to do in the moment, he would probably be having a harder time too.
Right. Instead, he just accepts them as his memories, his experiences, and he gets to live and act as though he went through those events and learned from them.
And in theory, Rand could have been doing that this whole time, understanding that the voice and the memories are separate. that could have been a thing. He didn't, obviously, but he could have in theory. Because, yeah, he never talks about having memories that are insane or distorted. He has traumatizing memories, or he has memories of, like Ilyena's being dead and all that, but he also has memories of like climbing plum trees and growing up here and there and meeting Forsaken before they were Forsaken. Like, they're normal memories in the sense,
Well, he does say most of them are battle memories at various times.
No, Matt's memories are battle memories because the Finn picked them up. But like Rand's memories from Lews Therin are not distorted by insanity. They're just the memories of a man who lived, right?
Right. He lived that life. Yeah, he remembers that life.
Like, some of it's traumatizing, but none of it's like warped. Like, Peeta in the Hunger Games, where he gets his memories all like messed up on purpose. Like, we never get an impression that the memories are distorted with Rand. It's just the voice that comes with the memories that makes Rand think it's all bad.
And this is different than Flicker, 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 where he lived those lives, but he never took away any skills, right? It's not like he got to actually absorb. He kind of has memories from those, and the memories fade. It's similar with going through the rings with the novices.
Yeah, with the apprentices for the wise
The
ones.
apprentices, yes.
Yeah, you take away emotional growth, but you don't actually have like skill.
Right, for living all those lives. Yeah.
So Matt gets to his tent, and just before he can go inside and get attacked by the Gholam, Teslin shows up and gives us a slight stay of execution.
And a real sort of reversal of typical Aes Sedai behavior, which is she thanks him legitimately from the bottom of her heart for all the help that he's provided, which is just like rare. It's one of the reasons we like Teslin.
Because she has growth.
She has growth.
She has growth. She goes from men are useless, this one in particular, to I owe you a favor and you can come to the White Tower itself and collect if you have to. Like, that is so much growth from any Aes Sedai, much less a Red who really didn't have much to do with the plot other than interact with Matt. Like, we like her because she's so unique. And also because, Matt getting appreciated for his work and getting the thanks and actually accepting the thanks doesn't happen that often.
Nope. And then he enters the tent and smells blood, which leads us right into the next chapter. Blood in the air.
Not even an eye blink of distance between those two things happening.
And here we have the snake in the wheel as our chapter icon.
For plot.
Matt ducked immediately. That instinct saved his life as something swung through the air above his head. Matt rolled to the side, his hand hitting something wet as it touched the floor. "Murder!" he bellowed. "Murder in the camp! Bloody murder!"
He screams bloody murder.
True. Something moved toward him. The tent was completely black, but he could not hear it. Matt stumbled, but luck was with him again as something swished near him. Matt hit the ground, rolled, flinging his hand to the side. He had left there. He came up beside his sleeping pallet, his hand grasping at the long wooden haft there. He threw himself backwards to his feet, hauling the Ashendari up, then spun and slashed, not at the form moving through the tent toward him, but at the wall. The fabric cut easily, and Matt leapt out, clutching his long-bladed spear in one hand. With his other hand, he reached for the leather strap at his neck, his fingernails ripping at his skin in his haste. He pulled the foxhead medallion off and turned in the brush outside the tent. A weak light came from the nearby lantern on a post at an intersection of the camp pathways. By it, Matt made out the figure sliding out of the rip in the tent. A figure he had feared to see. The golem looked like a man, slender with sandy hair and unremarkable features. The only thing distinct about the thing was the scar on his cheek.
A present from Matt.
And that was when it accidentally fell out of his shirt and burned him, right? That was when he discovered what the medallion could do.
Oh, yeah. That wasn't even a deliberate scar. That scar is the result of him learning that it can be used as a weapon. But he hasn't... I think he hits it somewhere else in that fight, and then he hits it in this fight. But the cheek scar is the accident.
Is the accident, yeah. You hear it sizzling a couple of times, but like this one I can imagine like it fell out and landed on the cheek, and were both just like, what? And then and like the golem like probably didn't, like, remember the first time touching a stove, he was probably not expecting the pain or the fire at all.
Right, and he like throws Matt off of him, like, ow!
Yeah.
And then, he treats the thing like it can hurt him, which is a completely unique experience for the golem. The golem has no self-preservation threat assessment routines. Like, he's had to figure that all out in direct reaction to that moment.
Ties the Ashendare to the haft of the blade so the blade becomes a weapon. I don't think the blade itself actually like gets any of the properties. It's not like the blade suddenly will touch him. It
just holds the object. Yeah. Yeah, the medallion, yeah, exactly. If he hits, it would be really cool if it activated the whole blade. But no, he literally just has to smack the medallion onto the golem.
Would that not be badass if he discovered like a slot in the base that he could put the medallion into that then activated the whole Ashendare into a power-proof weapon?
That would be so OP.
The golem talks. You should be proud, it whispered. The one who now controls me wants you more than anyone else. I am to ignore all others until I've tasted your blood. We talked about that, thinking it's probably a Shamael.
Right, Moradin. But yeah. It is a little bit of a contradiction, though, because it does say, I'm not supposed to kill anyone else until I've killed you. And then later it says, I'm going to kill a bunch of other people in order to get to you. So I'm like, oh, which is it? But it's not an Aes Sedai. It's allowed to lie.
Right. And it's killed a bunch of people for food purposes. So it's not like it's ignoring everybody else. It's still killing people to eat.
Right, right. I like that Matt has practiced with putting the medallion onto the Ashendare. I appreciate that little bit of like, no, he's actually like in front of the TV, just practiced this knot over and over again kind of thing. But he's still stupid enough to attack because that's who he is as a person.
And then he's like, why'd you kill Tylan? You could have left her alone. And I like his response. A bird must fly. A man must breathe. I must kill.
Wind blows. Rain falls.
Golem kills. But it does give you a very guilt-free, like, this thing needs to die, right? You're never going to negotiate with it. It doesn't want anything other than to kill.
It's a force of nature. It's not, it's a machine. It's a force of nature. It is not a negotiable person. It looks like a person. It is not a person. You don't have to feel person feelings about killing it.
And I've been told to kill them all. The man with the mustache, that's Tom. The aged one who interfered last time, Noel. And the little dark-skinned woman who holds your affection, Tuon. And later he's like, how does it know about Tuon? And I was curious if you had any theories.
Dark friendery?
Could it be Varen? Stop me when I'm being like, oh, it's Varen. It's not Varen. It's not Varen. Could have been. It's not.
It's probably not.
Can you go back to that section and be like, yeah, so even though we know it was Dury, I'm just going to pretend. Let's pretend like we don't know that and then talk about this as though Varen was the one. And we're just going to pretend that we don't remember that, okay? And then this next section, we're going to talk like Varen is the one who did it. She hasn't betrayed the dark side yet. Right? So we always have this debate. How much, before Varen is able to betray her oaths, how much dark friendery, how much information does she pass on about Matt?
Where are we at with respect to her death? Because her original opening to Matt, because in the letter to Matt, she says, I had hoped to return in a few days and relieve you of it. And we are more than a few days into the waiting period at this point, which means she's dead already.
Right, and we're going to get rumors, like you said, at the end of this about the tower being reunited.
Right, yeah.
Like, we already got those. So
we know she's dead.
So we know she's dead.
She absolutely could have passed that information on at some point just to stay in good standing, because, I mean, she is the Seanchan Empress. I don't really see why an Aes Sedai would want to protect that woman from the Gholam.
Right.
Huh. I mean, because, yeah, like, Varen is the best positioned dark friend to have passed that information along efficiently. But I hate to think of Varen betraying one of our heroes' girlfriends, but she is the head of the Seanchan Empire, so I don't really care that much. And
like, what other dark friends has he interacted with Tuon, right? Like, he was kind of, they were on their own, traveling, avoiding everybody. As far as I know, there are no dark friends, unless this is trying to set up, Vannon type situation, because that is a bit later where that you think Vannon could be a dark friend.
But Alvar isn't mentioned. And Varen, as far as we know, has no reason to know about Alvar. And also might be inclined to refrain from mentioning the child's name, given that there's other good targets to offer up. So that, I'd never really thought about it. I was just like, yeah, dark friends know things. But Varen does make a lot of sense. Does Varen actually see Tuon? She does, because she comes to the camp.
Mm-hmm.
So she would have seen and heard about Tuon because Aes Sedai stuff, because Varen knows. Wow. Varen gave information, and it went through very few hands before it was passed down to the Gholam. That makes sense.
That's what I think.
I mean, Tom's right that there's something wrong about that woman, you know?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Totally
Right.
off.
Like, we do just get that reference to Varen as well. So Matt's being attacked. I love how Teslin is effective against the Golem. She grabs the knife, not the Golem's hand. She pulls Matt out of the way, not trying to push the Golem away. And remember, this is all back to when she threw poo at Matt.
I mean, Adelius and Van Dien are the ones who figured that out. Tesla never threw poop at him. She was different expedition.
I could have sworn, though, that she was one of the Aes Sedai who was fucking with him at some point.
No, she respects him too much because of the whole saving her from the Shan thing.
Oh, you're right. That wasn't her. But I thought there was a moment.
I do believe she has observed the phenomena directly. I don't think she did it, but I do think... No, it was Jolene that was doing it, and Teslin yelled at her about it.
Right.
But Jolene was doing it. So Teslin knows it works.
Yes. I guess that's what I was trying to say, is there was those moments where, like, the Aes Sedai were fucking with his power and, like, messing with it. And that very much helps her at this point because she knows, this same rules as the medallion.
Right. And, like, Matt yells that to her in the moment. You know, Weaves won't touch it because, obviously. But, yeah, she's already thinking, let me grab furniture out of the tent and just keep hitting the Gholam with chairs and stuff. That'll keep it away from Matt. Yeah, you love to see power being used effectively. And yeah, Matt thinks, I would have been fine if you just put me in the air to keep me safe. That would have been okay. But we know that that's not how the rules of channeling work. And he even thinks about that.
Well, and he even thinks that. He's like, I've never seen anyone lift anyone up more than a foot or so. Like, I'm never going to be high enough. I think these two red arms are two more fan inserts.
No, they're not. They've been around since Jordan books. Yeah, they've been around. This was one of the ones that kind of hurt me because I'm like, they've never really been front and center, but they've been around since like early days of the formation of the band. And they just get taken down like NPC red shirts who have never been on page before. It's so brutal.
Let me look them up. I did not do that ahead of time.
It says here, both men who had survived the time in Abu Dar.
Yeah.
Like, they know what they're facing because they saw Nalisian die and they still... like try to it tears my heart out. So sad. And like Matt tells them, like, no, don't. It's just such a slow-mo like reliving of what happened with Nalisian.
Oh yeah, no, they know all about the Golem from Winter's Heart and everything like that. I mean, they're just they're red arms, right? They're these existing guys who have been around in a bunch of these scenes, not doing anything specific to them, but they've been in a lot of these scenes.
They're like the faces of the Red Arms. We have to get new faces for the Red Arms now. But before we can mourn them too much, Matt remembers that there is a literal child who might have been hurt and goes dashing back into the tent, desperately looking for, where did all that blood come from? Is it Oliver? And it's not Oliver, but he still has to find Lopin and two of his other Red Arms, and everything's bloody, and it's all very sad and upsetting.
Riddham and Will Reeve, are those also old school Red Arms?
No, they are not. So maybe those are the fan inserts that your Spidey sensors are pointing to in this scene.
I was like, I knew there were. I felt like there were two of them.
And Will Reeve, I don't know I don't. Those feel like very. I could believe that.
Looking them up now.
Every time that a random character dies, I'm just going to assume it's one of the fan inserts. Like literally every single one. If I've never seen you before and I'll never see you again, presumably you helped Sanderson write the books. Congratulations.
Well, nothing popping up like it did with Chase. So that's of all these characters, Chase is the only one that I've been able to see a note on that actually confirms he was a fan insert.
I want to believe.
It's just it's hard to see names that are so modern and not go, those are probably, or modern with a little bit of a twist to them.
Especially when they did not have to be named in order to be bodies.
Right.
Like, you could have just been two Red Arms. We didn't have to have names. Why are there names? So yeah, Matt thinks sad thoughts about Lopin. Lopin had only just started to get over Nalisian's death. He's the reason that Matt was able to get out of Abu Dar. Like, he's been an important support character that Matt has mostly complained about. And now he feels bad because, now he's dead.
Yeah, you shouldn't have complained about him because he died for you. It's like... He's now had two body servants killed by the Golem, right?
No, just one. The other one's still alive.
Didn't Lopen take over when Neresium was killed?
Matt took on Lopen because Nelesian died, but Nelesian was a fellow nobleman.
Oh, okay. But didn't Matt have one of his manservants killed?
Yeah. No. He's had 2 manservants this whole time, and this is the time he got a manservant killed.
Who's his other one?
Nerim.
Oh, well, gee, I got Nerim and Nelesium mixed up. I'm sorry, 2 N-words.
It's not an S name. I don't know where your problem is. Oh, no, you're right, because Matt says, I need a new serving man to Elaine. So you're right. This is his second serving man to get killed. I forgot Nerim died. I'm a bad fan.
That's what I'm saying. Nerim died. I just got the name wrong. That's all.
Okay. All right. No, fair enough.
And I did find Riddum is named for Tim Riddle, a fan of The Wheel of Time.
Boom.
So he is a fan insert. Yeah.
Spidey sense is on point.
Yeah. When there's 2 of them together, there's the other one. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
So Tim Riddle, congratulations.
We found you. So yeah, Noel comes rushing up, apologizing to Matt for scaring him by having Oliver sleeping somewhere else. Like, oh, I'm so sorry. I should have gotten him home. And Matt's like, absolutely never apologize for keeping him over at your house. He's alive because of that.
Right.
Thank you so much for doing a grandpa sleepover.
Yeah, it's like if a car hits the house and plows right through your kid's bedroom and he's like staying at his grandparents' house. And you're like, oh my God, thank God.
Right. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry. We should have called you. But like our phone died. And it's like, don't care. It's fine.
Don't care.
It's fine.
Yeah. But you have that moment of panic because you're like, oh my God,
he's supposed to be there.
And you like go in looking for the body.
Right. And like the golem would not have spared a child. Absolutely.
No, absolutely not.
I like how they're thinking, and they, jump later, an hour later, blah, blah, blah. They're like, we hope that he will never know how close he came to dying.
Yeah.
I suspect he's going to find out someday.
Someday.
Some drunken Red Arm is going to tell him when he's like 19. And he's going to be like, wait, what happened? I was doing what? I was asleep?
Oh my God. Well, because I can just imagine Matt and Oliver being like, Oliver's going to grow up and like be this adventurer, right? So Matt is of course going to be involved with that.
Yeah, and a lot of the other Red Arms, he's going to be visiting these guys, like wherever it is that they decided to finally retire to. He's going to go visit his uncles and whatever. And yeah, stories that were not meant to be told to him will eventually be told to him.
Because he has to go off and find the Aiel who killed his parents.
Right. He's going to need to meet a lot of side quest characters with little quest assignments along the way.
Do you even figure out, because it's basically like no way to find out which particular Aiel killed his parents, right? I always imagine like he's going to go on this quest that will never be possible to be fulfilled.
Oh, for sure. Exactly. He can't let it go, despite the fact that even if it was possible to find the man who killed his parents or his dad, that guy probably died at like Dumais Wells.
Right.
Or, one of the other many times that the Aiel just got fucking blasted. Yeah, Malden.
Because we know they were Shido, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was Shido. So yeah, that person probably died at Malden, honestly.
Mm-hmm. And if he didn't, they're back in the waste, dying slowly from the waste.
And yeah, Oliver will never find them in the waste. But that doesn't mean he won't meet every interesting person in all of Middle-earth trying to find them.
Right. So it's the quest for the Holy Grail. The point is not to find the Holy Grail. The point is to go on the quest.
Right, exactly. And he is going to write such a good book at the end of that.
Yeah, rival Jane Forrest writers.
Exactly. The first book to ever come close to touching that book will be from Oliver.
And you'll be like, so in my childhood, I was with Matt.
And no one will believe him.
Yeah, right.
Right. So here's the explanation for why Tuon is on the hit list is because a Red Arm was captured and tortured by the Golem. But
I can't believe neither one of us don't remember that. Yeah.
I highlighted it in my notes, but that was like a whole 2 hours ago. Why would I remember it?
Stop me when I'm being like, oh, it's Varen. It's not Varen. It's not Varen. It could have been. It's not.
It's probably not.
Can you go back to that section and be like, yeah, so even though we know it was Dury, I'm just going to pretend. Let's pretend like we don't know that and then talk about this as though Varen was the one. And we're just going to pretend that we don't remember that, okay? And then this next section, we're going to talk like Varen is the one who did it.
You want editing Aradia rather than just... I could
make that work, editing Aradia.
By the way, we're wrong.
So yeah, Derry was kidnapped, tortured, and one would assume told them everything about Matt that he knew.
Except for Oliver. Oliver was not mentioned on the hit list. Did Derry protect Oliver? Did the Golem not care about Oliver? What's going on there?
It might just be that the Golem, one of those like, didn't think to ask about children.
Could be. Could definitely be. And Derry was like, I'm not going to volunteer a child's name if it's not exactly going to help me get out of this moment of torture. Yeah. Well, I love being stupid on recording. It's great. Humbling.
Well, the whole point of that is that you can edit to make yourself sound smarter.
Except when you make it a whole comedic bit.
Well, fair enough. Then you're hanging a what's that term? Not hanging a noose on it, hanging a picture on it.
Hanging yourself by your own petard? Hoisting yourself by your own petard?
No, that's that. Although very close to what I was trying to say. No, it's when there's a mistake, and instead of trying to cover it up, you frame it and like show it off and be like, "Here's the mistake." And
is there a term for that?
There's a literary term for it. Yeah.
Happy accidents would be the Bob Ross way of looking at it, but
it's hanging a something.
This is actually new to me. Today I'm learning.
Let's see. Oh my God.
Having a bit of a mandala effect on yourself?
Yeah, this is really frustrating. All right, I don't know. I can't find it.
Happy accidents. We know that one.
But it's specifically a phrase referring to if you've made like a continuity error, instead of like ignoring it, be like, oh yeah, that's a continuity error. We did that for this reason. Like have your characters go back and address it, or be like, oh, I can't remember. It's like
an element of breaking the fourth wall to it kind of thing?
A little bit of just being like, we know it's ridiculous, but fuck.
I know the vibe you're talking about. I just can't think of any phrase that encapsulates it succinctly, that has that little pizzazz of a literary reference. I think we roll with it, obviously, is a way of expressing that, but like I can't think of a...
Yeah, I'm really struggling to... It's one of those things like put a sock on it, or, it's like just a dumb phrase, Well,
when you remember it as you're falling asleep tonight, try to remember to text me about it tomorrow.
Will do. Because
I believe you. I just don't think I've ever heard it, so.
Okay.
Back to the chapter?
Back to the chapter where Matt's talking about hunting the golem, right? With Teslin?
Tom and Noel. He's thinking about, if it's going to go after Tuon, it wouldn't do that, right? It wouldn't. There's only one way to keep it from hurting my wife. Kill it. Right. This is he's been deciding he wants to fight it like all throughout this episode. This is when the decision is fully set.
When it threatened his wife.
Yeah, when it almost hurt his kid and is actively threatening his wife. Like now the vague feeling that he has to face it is concrete. It's not vague anymore. And he says, I don't know what we're going to do to kill it, but I know that there's an article out there that has 50 ways to kill a golem listed on it, so we're going to just work our way through all 50.
And they do. Like I do believe that pushing it off a platform and letting it fall forever is one of the ways.
Yeah, I believe that is the lore of that story, is that people did actually think of the way to do it that ultimately gets used in the book. Hang a lantern on it.
Yes.
Mom Jeans has finally come through with your phrase.
Thank you. Hang a lantern on. I knew I kept saying picture frame, and I was like, that's not right. It's hang something on it. Hang a lantern on it is a writing technique where the writer acknowledges a potential inconsistency or issue in the story, reassuring the audience that they are aware of it and asking to accept the narrative as presented. This helps maintain trust and engagement with the story, being like, I know this doesn't make sense now, but I'm doing that on purpose because later it will make sense. We're going to come back to that. Or like, yes, this is okay.
All right. So the phrase is either hanging a lantern on it or lampshading. I've never heard that phrase before.
Yes. Lampshading. Yes. I've heard it called lampshading before.
Okay. Fascinating. Thank you, Mom Jeans. And also amazing serendipity. You were holding a lantern and a frame while this conversation was going down in the recording. That's amazing. The pattern was with us on that one. Really needed us to get that literary reference. All right. Awesome. I've learned a new phrase today. Lampshading.
Jimmy was not at the laundromat this Sunday, but it's already been established that Jimmy goes to the laundromat every Saturday. The lantern? Sarah knows Jimmy's not there, to create intrigue by pointing out clues. Sarah was at the laundromat until noon, but there was no sign of Jimmy. Odd. Right, that level of like character noticing something inconsistent and not just like stating it in the narration and never going back to it.
Okay.
So you're pointing it out in a way that's saying, I'm going to address this later.
Making it narratively obvious. Like, you didn't catch me in an inconsistency. I got to it first. All right, cool.
Why were we even talking about that? I've completely lost the thread of why that was brought up.
Varen and Derry?
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, and the whole editing process to like make it funny.
Right.
We're like meta now. We're so
meta
confused.
at this point. Right. I'm hanging a lantern on my mistake about Derry and making it funnier because, yes, got it. Lampshading my ass.
But is it a sexy lamp? That's what I want to know.
Well, and you can gaslight about a lampshade.
Oh, shit, you can. Yeah.
No, I always knew that was a problem. I totally didn't make a mistake and am retconning it.
Yeah. Gnome was always able to talk mentally with, anyway.
Oh, editing a radio. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Editing a radio is definitely more gray-haired than recording a radio.
So they're sort of forming a strategy. He's going to sleep in a different inn every night. They have to take the boy with him because...
It's the only way to keep him safe and out of trouble.
Right. I mean, it's more of fear, right? He left Teslin behind thinking she'd be safe, and then she was killed. So the golem, he can't leave the boy anywhere he's been, unprotected.
Yeah, no. He will do that mistake once in his life, and that is it.
Then there's the Matt Grimace, the way Oliver leered at women. If he ever found out which of the Red Arms was teaching the boy to act that way around women, it's you, Matt.
It's you. You are the problem. It's you.
This is where I say this chapter is aggressively Matt. It's both using a bunch of these old, consistent, like this is something that Jordan said over and over and over again, and Sanderson's bringing it up. But he's also he's doing the whole checking women out, and like I just feel like this is aggressively Sanderson saying, I finally got Matt a little bit. Whether he has him or not, he's got a better version of him than he had in the first book.
Aggressively Matt is definitely the way to describe this. This is so Matt. We're like reprising everything Matt's ever done, pulling out all of his little phrases and mannerisms. And
we've got dice in the head. We've got luck. We've got, wow, why is my luck ever, what is Taviran doing for me? All of his leering
not a
at
bloody
women.
lord.
Yeah, I'm not a bloody lord. Like, this is just like,
Just a little bit of lace.
Oh my God. Yeah. God, it's Matt catchphrase city. If anything, that's my problem with this chapter is it's like, did you have to do all Matt all at once?
Apparently.
No, not apparent. He's not doing Perrin. You said apparently.
Oh. Are we done with this recording yet?
I'm way off topic. I'm so sorry. I might be a little tired.
You might
bad
be.
puns. I might be a little tired. Yeah. All right.
Okay. So they're planning all that, and then a different Aes Sedai comes up to Matt's tent and calls for him. And this is the less fun Aes Sedai that we enjoy less. It is Jolene, basically coming to give the same information and request as Teslin, but with way more attitude and a lot less gratitude.
And he has a good line where he's like, "Okay, you can have the horses. I already promised them Teslin anyway."
Yeah, mic drop. Just chef kiss mic drop. You didn't even have to come ask at all because Teslin already did.
And then he's like, I need to go talk to the queen. And Jolene's like, are you going to swear at her too? And he's like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, how else is she going to know it's me? Which, in fairness, his colorful language and bad spelling is why Nori brings it to Elaine. A formal letter with, spell check and letterhead, Nori just puts it in spam. But if it's got like really creative spelling and doodles, well, now we need a human eye on it, or a queen's eye in this case. Right.
Yeah, he got past the spam filters by being really weird.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like when you text your friends and you want them to know that it's you and you use in-jokes, right? This is Matt's equivalent of an in-joke because him and Elaine don't have much in the way of in-jokes, but swearing is one of the things that they can bond on.
Oh, and you think I'm dumb and can't spell. Okay, I'll send you a letter that's spelled really poorly. And like, yeah, I get why he does it. I really hate the letter. I really hate the letter in crayon that's poorly spelled.
The letter itself is frustrating, but the sibling dynamic between Matt and Elaine that it carries is great.
Yeah, right.
And her letter back to him or her verbal response back to him is funny. It's close. It's
close. The letter is just too childish.
Just a skosh too childish. But yeah, there you have it. Matt's night on the town with death and mayhem.
I would call it the beginning. Sanderson saying, hey, we're going to kill the golem off now. We're starting that plot line.
Which, like, at this point, as a first-time reader through his books, I was like, I know that Sanderson does an amazing action sequence, and the golem has been impossibly scary, so I'm really excited that Sanderson is saying, let's take down the gholam. I'm like, all right, dude, I trust you to make this very fun. And I will not be disappointed. Spoilers.
No.
I love that fight.
The spinning, multiple spinning Ashendare is such a great visual to hurt him. Yeah.
And then when he just like plants a boot in his chest and spits after him, it's just so good. I'm so excited for that.
Like I said, my only problem with that scene is the aren't Shadow Spawn dying when they go through gateways, and the answer is not golems, apparently,
for reasons which we can pontificate on literally forever.
But I do think that one of the reasons the golem got to him so fast is it got gatewayed there.
No, that totally makes sense. That totally makes sense. My explanation was really reaching because, I just forgot that they can pass through gateways. Ah, well.
Anyway, that was a fun one. That was good. I always enjoy a little bit of Matt.
Yeah, it started out slow, but by the end, we really had picked up some steam, and it was fun.
Well, having the golem, I think, was definitely that battle was fun. Yeah.
Matt's more fun when he's in danger.
Definitely when he's being attacked. But yeah, thanks for joining us again. That was a lot of fun, and we're back to some Perrin chapters next week. So strap in.
Yeah, and otherwise, I don't know. Listen to podcasts that I make, and I make a lot of them. There's a lot of them. There's show notes with the links. Listen to them. Also, people, you should come to my support group on Thursdays. Why are you not coming to my support group on Thursdays? Do it.
I work.
Poor excuse.
What? That's the only excuse.
No, it's a problem. If only I could clone myself.
I know that feeling. Then I could go to work and come to your sessions.
Yeah, then I could do sessions far more often. But anyhow, everyone out there, you should drink some water. I know I give that advice a lot, but it's as good today as it was yesterday.
And then I think we should do Patreons next week.
We should do Patreons next week.
We've had a few. I've seen a few come through this past month or two.
Awesome.
We always get a couple after we announce Patreon. Not always, but it's the most frequent time is when we do a big long list of patrons, and then like 2 or 3 weeks later, when people actually listen to the episode or when it gets published, we always get a surge right after that. So it's almost like thanking our patrons. Reminds people, oh yeah, I want to be a patron.
It is so important to plug your stuff constantly on the internet, on podcasts, wherever you're doing your thing. It is so important to plug where people can find you and that they should support you when you publish your stuff. It is so hard to do that. It feels so narcissistic and self-aggrandizing and selfish and just all these bad things. But as a consumer of said content, it's really important that people remind you. It takes 17 reminders before you sign up for a thing or whatever. So thank you to everyone for joining our Patreon. And we'll do Patreons next time, probably. And then, we can struggle through your name, which is definitely a perk for some people.
I'm here to butcher it. What can I say? I am a butcherer of names.
Yep, that's what we do.
So if you want to hear your name mispronounced in a probably unique way, feel free to put it in there for me. Aradia can attest. Aradia can attest.
Yeah. In fairness, that was not the most unique mispronunciation of my name I've ever heard, but I'm pretty sure we've come up with some wild ones on here. Anyway, I think if you listen through to the after show, you can hear us talk about stuff to do with the show, the Amazon show, and its lack of existence. But if you don't want to hear about that, then now's your chance to leave. Bye.
Bye.
We are gathered here today to discuss the reversion of rights from Sony and Amazon to iWatt.
Fill me in. I have some idea of what happened. I've read some stuff, but what's your understanding of what's going on here?
The rights that Amazon and Sony have to the Wheel of Time show have gone back to iWatt, otherwise known as Red Eagle Entertainment, who was holding it first ever since Jordan sold them stuff like back in the aughts. That is the extent of what I know.
And they
everything
released
else
Winter
that
Dragon.
I read was and they released Winter Dragon, and everything else is just pure speculation. But those, I believe, are the facts.
The only other thing I want to talk about was the Wheel of Time trading card game that they appear, or sorry, not the card game.
It's an online RPG?
Yeah, the online RPG. Isn't it Cards of Time?
It's not Cards of Time. No. Cards of Time is Koala Sedai's lovely little trading card thing.
Sorry, Cards of Eternity.
There we go.
I believe is what it's called.
Yeah, and I remember them mentioning that, like, when the show first got announced or something. Like, that's an old thing they've been kicking around.
Maybe I'm Googling the wrong thing. Hold on. They announced something pretty recently.
But yeah, they've had this obsession with AI-generated art stuff, like, for the past, as long as AI-generated art has been a popular trending thing. So for the past 3-4 years.
News broke the Wheel of Time franchise was being adopted into an open-world role-playing game from iWatt Studios. I can't take them seriously. They've made so many announcements about big things that have never, ever, ever come to pass. The only thing they did that ever ended up accomplishing anything was literally selling the rights to Sony and Amazon. And so the only time they've ever produced anything, they produced the 1990s first-person shooter game that was like you're an Aes Sedai and you pick up Angreal as like spells. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've read reviews of that game. Some people have said it's pretty fun.
It's a decent game, but only because it's just Quake with a skin on it, right? Like,
so it was a good game before it was reskinned. So, okay.
But it has nothing to do with Wheel of Time, really, in any way, shape, or form. Like it's other than they name a few things, you're casting spells instead of shooting things. Like they skinned it a little bit, but it's not a Wheel of Time game. There's no lore. You're a nameless. First of all, you're an accepted. You're not even an Aes Sedai, right? Like, and so therefore you can't channel. So you can only use Angreal, which is just like, wait, Angreal, you can only use those when channeling. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, so they've done that. They put out the comic book that had a couple of issues of Eye of the World.
The graphic novel.
The graphic novel, yes.
Oh, that's Red Eagle iWatt.
Mm-hmm.
Huh,
they put that out, and it was really successful until they refused to pay the artist, and he gave up, and then they hired a really bad artist to finish out the book, and we have a series of really, really bad comics after the really, really good ones, and then they canceled it.
Huh. I have never really bothered to pursue why there aren't more of the graphic novels. I never thought about that once with my conscious brain, but I did know that there's 2, and then there's...
The other thing that iWatt has done is, they maintained all merchandising rights to the Wheel of Time. So Amazon, the company that sells physical things, couldn't sell any merch to the Wheel of Time TV show, which may have had a lot to do why it was canceled, because if you can't make money off of something through merchandise, that's a huge chunk of potential income. Bandai Jewelry produced a few things, right, on the side, because they had a pre-existing agreement. But Amazon wasn't producing any of the t-shirts, Rand's sweater, like the rings, the swords, all that stuff could have been sold, just all the costuming, right? Why weren't they making replicas and selling it? iWatt.
And iWatt made Winter Dragon, right?
And iWatt made Winter Dragon,
Wait,
yes.
when they were Red Eagle Entertainment.
Yes, the iWatt and Red Eagle are the same company.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Wow. Yeah, I mean... With musicians, some of the most amount of profit that musicians make is from physical sales of t-shirts and CDs and posters. Like touring is about getting people's eyeballs on the merch, right? So I don't know how well that translates to TV, but it seems like there should be some equivalent to, if you have a product in an entertainment piece, you should give people the ability to buy objects associated with said art.
So, as a company announcing this, we're going to make this incredible Baldur's Gate 3 type style game that's going to be, it's just like, I don't believe you. I
fucking wish, but no, you're not.
Yeah, no, you're not. Like, it's the Anchorman scene. I don't believe you. Like, I just don't. It's whatever they say is not believable. And when serious news organizations take them seriously and are like, here's the announcement and we think it's actually going to happen this time, it's like, yeah, well, You've had the wool pulled over your eyes, too. Now, if they sold the rights to another company to make a product, then I might believe it.
Which is totally possible. They now can do that because Sony and Amazon have given the rights back. iWatt could sell the rights. No, not holding my breath that they will, but.
and it will always be it's very obvious they have it will revert back to us, right? That was the whole point of Winter Dragon. That's why it existed, because they had these contracts where it should be reverting back to Harriet. It should be reverting back to Team Jordan, right? And it's not. It's these other people, these business schools who got Jordan to sign a deal with them back in the 90s, promising him all these things that it turns out they couldn't do. And now they're sitting on it basically as patent trolls.
I mean, Robert Jordan made one mistake. He was a perfect man, never made any mistakes. He made one mistake.
Yeah.
It was signing with these fuckers. Oh, it's such a bummer. It's such a bummer. It's such a good IP. And these are such ridiculous, petty troll reasons for it to not be getting actualized. Like, these are not good reasons. These are bad reasons. Ugh.
And it's so funny because it's like iWatt could be making a lot more money if they would release some of the controls.
I wonder what stick is up their ass exactly.
A business stick.
I've seen businesses make better choices than these people. Like, many other IPs have managed to come to fruition without a Winter Dragon level of shit stain along the way.
Yeah, but they got in the 90s in a way that doesn't matter. Do you want to talk about the book? I think I'm done talking about that.
Okay.
There's that to me. I'm just like, oh yeah, real world politics bullshit. It sounds awful. And I guess my closing statement on that is just like any announcement with Wheel of Time and iWatt, like, just take it with a big grain of salt and assume it's not going to happen until they show actual evidence of it happening.
Yeah. I'm nodding. Let's get to the book. Thank you for listening to the Wheel of Time Spoilers podcast. Please rate and review us on your podcast app and consider supporting us on Patreon for ad-free episodes. Watt Spoilers is a production of Fox and Raven Media. For more podcasts from Fox and Raven Media, visit our website at foxandravenmedia.com.